I mean, he talks about courage there, Mikel, and yeah, I totally agree. The fact that they need to start playing with that sort of freedom, that courage. But I wouldn't be too disheartened right now. They've played a lot of these teams right now, particularly away from home, that are challenging or spoken about challenging
City,
for the title.
Villa and Spurs already.
There we go. So big teams already in a difficult moment with a lot of players missing. Today, yes, they had some players missing, but they still had a very strong team. And I think, like he says, he's just disappointed that they just want a little bit more. But look, I wouldn't be worried right now. They're sitting quite happily in third. And it's one of those where it's all positive, I feel, with obviously the players coming back. That's always good signs, Bukayo. And that's what Arsenal are about right now.
Could you actually spin this, Roy? Yes, there have been problems keeping 11 players on the field. 3 times that's happened. 3 times they dropped points before this afternoon. Could you spin it as a positive that, given the stature of some of the players they're missing, like Ødegaard, their most creative player, to be where they are through this period is actually a positive?
Yeah, well, there is positives. There's certainly... They're not going to panic. They'll be disappointed with some of the results, and obviously that was self-inflicted with some of the sending-offs, etc. But I'm still looking at some of their performances and the positions they've got themselves in, and that was today. So whatever circumstances, they end up 2-1 up at home to Liverpool, and Liverpool didn't look at their very, very best. There was an element of calmness to Liverpool, I suppose. So again, I'm looking at Arsenal, a bit like when to City recently, and I'm not saying these games are easy, far from it, but it's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be easy to win big titles. But I still look at this mentality of this Arsenal group today, when you're watching them live and they're 2-1 up, and whatever the circumstances, injuries, but can you go on and not take silly gambles, but you're the home team, take the initiative. And I always feel with this Arsenal, particularly today, when we're 2-1 up, yeah, we'll step back. And I really worry for the Arsenal, forget about the players, the medical staff. Because every time an Arsenal player's tackled, they're going down, they're rolling around, they're time wasting. And they're trying to kill the game. I get about that, but you're the home team, you're 2-1 up, use the initiative, use the fans behind you, because the fans were doing their best to get them over the line today. And it's as if, I just worry about that belief and that mentality where you're going, do they really have that belief and conviction that they're a top team and they can really challenge Man City? I still don't see it. I think they've made great progress, and it seems really, I suppose, critical, but you have to look at it when you compare them to Man City, where Man City have got to the last few years.
But could they actually look back at the end of the season, at this period, and say, this is what took us to the title, because of the way we managed to navigate a difficult time in the season?
Of course they can, and that remains to be seen. But I think the interesting thing when you were watching Arsenal, and it's not just this season, I've been thinking about this for a long time now, probably going back to this fixture last season, I think it was end of January, early February. And because Mikel Arteta worked with Pep Guardiola, we're almost thinking this is a Pep Guardiola disciple. And if you look at the best, probably the 2 most successful managers, let's say, the last 10, 15 years, you've got Pep Guardiola here with a certain style of football, and you've got Jose Mourinho, almost equally as successful at the other end. Mikel Arteta is slowly morphing into a Jose Mourinho type of manager, and no one really thought that would happen. And I just think it's really interesting how they've got there. So you see today, 2-1 up, pressing Liverpool, on top of Liverpool, playing really well. They retreat second half. Now, I know they had a couple of injuries at the back, but they've still got the midfield players playing. They've still got some attacking players playing who you think, can you get on the ball? Can you go forward and try and sort of maybe take the sting out of, the pressure you're under? So there's a...
So do you think that instinct, Jamie, is protecting what you have?
That's coming from the manager.
Trying to win it.
It happens too often now. We see it with 10 men. I get what happened at City. I thought what they did at City was brilliant. I commentate on the game, enjoyed watching it. But what they did here against Brighton, what they were doing against Bournemouth last week, the top teams I've seen before down with 10 men, I go back to my own experience as well. But yeah, you're under pressure, but you relieve it, you keep the ball a bit more, you're still a threat going forward. And it feels very, when they were down to 10 men, like what Jose was like in the new camp with Inter Milan. And again, this is not a criticism, this is an observation of where Arsenal are as a team. And it's going back almost 12 months. And maybe it's the fact that Mikel Arteta looks at his attacking players and thinks, we're not as good as Man City. And they're not. We've got to win the league by being the best team defensively, and that's what they were last season. And I think possibly they still are right now. They just lost goals because they've been down to 10 men in certain games. But this idea that Arsenal play great football, he's a Pep Guardiola man. He's not. You see that, as Roy said, with players going down. The secrecy before the game about who was fit, who was not fit. It's all out of the Jose Mourinho playbook.
Does it matter the style that you use, Theo? If you are going to go and win the title, does style matter in terms of delivering trophies, the biggest trophies, ending this long wait for a Premier League title.
I mean, and that's you hit the nail on the head there. The long wait, the Arsenal fans that have waited for something, and if they're going to win it in the Jose Mourinho way, he was very successful. I think they will take that. I really genuinely think they will. But like I say, don't shy away from what you're good at as well. But of course, it's all about the trophies in the end of it. You'll be remembered for that. Jose Mourinho is obviously saying very successful, winning in a certain way of style. Why could you not do both? I think they can do both. They showed it in the first half and the second half at times. It's just, I feel like right now, Arsenal are going through a sticky patch, but still getting results. Liverpool, we're talking about them challenging, and it's all sort of roses with Slot right now. But they didn't win here today. They still managed to get a result, against a depleted Arsenal team towards the back of the end of the game. So for me, I still feel like it's a positive sort of outlet for Arsenal. Right?
But when you're trying to win the title from Man City, though, it's talking about styles, and I've played for managers, and I think all the great managers are gamblers. They do go and want to win games, and they'll sacrifice losing the odd game. But I'm seeing with this Arsenal group, there's still the element of even everyone settling going, no, we'll take like the draw today. Instead of sitting there going, we were 2-1 up. And then when they got it back 2-2, we should have try and get the momentum back in the game and try and win the game. There's an element of, well, put it this way, too many draws won't win you any title.
Do you think
you're comparing them to you're comparing to a brilliant Man City team.
Yeah, but do you think they can sacrifice playing against a Liverpool team? And maybe you can sacrifice playing against a Brighton. Obviously, they're down to 10 men, but a Liverpool team who are expected to be there at the end of the season, I'm not quite sure.
I'm not being critical of it. I'm just saying this idea that he's all of like Pep Guardiola. He's not, because, you know, we have seen, Roy's right, you think of sort of Pep Guardiola right now, you think of Jurgen Klopp, you think of Sir Alex Ferguson, but Jose Mourinho won a title. Claudio Ranieri won a title by being tough to beat. So it's not a criticism, it's just this is what they are as a team. Let's not kid ourselves that this is the most exciting team that we've ever seen in our lives. This is a team who want to keep clean sheets, back themselves to keep clean sheets, score from set pieces. I mean, they're one of the top teams who actually see go long a lot. And again, I'm not against that. It's refreshing that not every team plays the same way. But when I'm watching Arsenal at times, Ray, he's not scared to just go long and not take any chances around the back.
But again, not criticising the style. If they're sat in today and they were saying, listen, we're up against it, we got injured, and they win the game 2-1, then you have to give them praise. They got over the line. Man City a few weeks ago, they got load of praise, but they're 2-1 up and down. Yeah. But they end up not getting the 3 points. And you're
what I'm saying is, Roy, I think the probably question is, do you think they can win the league playing like that?
No, well, the evidence is just they can't, because they don't seem to be good enough to. You have to win these type of games, especially when you're in front. Again, there's games again with the Man City. Every game obviously is different, but when you go down to when you go 2-1 up against Man City and you're down to 10 men, I get all that. Don't get me wrong, but you still, and this is a compliment to Arsenal. People think you're critical of them, but you're going, because I think you can be better than that. This idea of sitting back in, and we're watching the game live here, and I see players going down. I see them really, and you're 2-1 up at home. You're going, you've got the momentum. You go and get the third goal against Liverpool. We know Liverpool are no mugs, obviously. But it's almost gone, we'll really slow the game down, and you know what, we'll hand the initiative back to Liverpool. And when you've got people like Trent in possession and Salah, trust me, they will punish you.
It felt like second half that Arsenal had the man sent off. That's what it felt like. We said that earlier when we were watching the game. Liverpool was so like, I don't think Liverpool were amazing creating chances, by the way, but to allow another team, you know, you are still Arsenal at home, 2-1 in front, you've been brilliant first half. You know Liverpool are going to come back in the game. That happens in all the games, but to allow them to be so dominant, I'd be frustrated as an Arsenal supporter watching that second half.
Do you feel like Arsenal can drop any more points?
Yeah, listen, there's a long way to go. Of course, they can drop a few more points, but 4 points is manageable. Man City.
They lost 5 and drew 5 last season.
Yeah,
for example.
Listen, you put pressure on yourself, you fall behind Man City at any time.
I sense that you think you've got Manchester City here still a bit on a pedestal compared to the rest.
Yeah, at this moment in time. Yeah.
So, which of these two would you think finish above the other? Based on the evidence of the first 9 games of this season.
I want to say Liverpool. But there's still obviously question marks over Liverpool. I gave Liverpool loads of praise last year, and they ran out of steam with 5-6 games to go. So obviously there's big challenges for Liverpool ahead. But with that maybe control, with that maybe calmness to their group of players, maybe that will help them in the long run in terms of injuries and the way they look after themselves and deal with the extra games might help them. But I've been wrong before. But at this moment in time, I would say I would have Liverpool over Arsenal.
Theo?
Interesting. I mean, like I said at the start of the show, Liverpool have only faced United, and obviously Arsenal today.
Chelsea,
I feel
Leipzig, AC Milan, Arsenal.
again. It was their
The road
first
to the
proper
viaduct.
test. Chelsea were not classed to being winning the league at the start of the year, considering they finished 6th last year. Maybe they're spoken about this year.
Has Liverpool got to play Man City away for everyone to say that they played someone? Is that what we're waiting for? When is the date of that game?
That's what we're waiting for.
Couple of weeks, 1st of December.
You praised Arsenal a while ago for having some tough games by beating Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Is are you putting that in the bracket of a tough game?
I am, definitely, particularly away from home. I think Arsenal at this moment in time have played teams away from home particularly and still managed to get a result. And that's the difference, I say, compared to Liverpool at this moment.
But you have to play half your games away from home, don't you? Your league.
And then